It can be a special kind of pain and suffering that someone experiences when they find out that their ex is actually dating someone else. Ask me how I know this. Hey there, it's Clay with modernlove.life. Now over the past, few months, I've been breaking down the story of my big ex and our sort of on-again, off-again relationship. You may recall, if you saw that series of videos, at least the second time that we broke up, my ex was specifically breaking up with me for another guy. And we had the conversation, oh hey, yeah, let's break up, all that sort of stuff. And then she's like, yeah, and by the way, I'm dating someone else. That hits extra hard because breakups are never easy. Breakups are difficult and challenging, especially if it's like my breakup where you're like literally thousands of miles away and feeling helpless about everything. But when you find out that there's actually someone else in the picture and that your ex is dating someone else, this person that you were in love with is dating someone else, that you've essentially been replaced, then that just adds more to it. That's where you get that like sinking feeling in your stomach, like you've just been punched in the stomach or something. Like I know that feeling. I remember that feeling. You may know that feeling too if you're watching this video. But what are you supposed to do in this kind of situation? First things first, don't panic. Again, I've been there. I know what it's like to panic. I wish I hadn't panicked. I could have saved myself a lot of heartache by not doing that. But the first things first is you want to separate fact from story. Okay, so there's facts, right? Okay, me and my ex, we talked on the phone. She told me she wanted to break up. She told me that she was going to see someone else. Those are all facts, right? Anything else on top of that is simply just a story. Like, oh, hey, I'm not good enough because she left me for someone else. This other guy must be so much better than me, probably way taller, probably more muscular, probably earns more money, all that sort of stuff, right? I knew all along I'm not worthy of love because of this thing that happened to me, this traumatic childhood experience or whatever, right? These are all stories that we're putting on top of this situation. Whether it's stories about you and your own self-worth, whether it's stories about your ex, whether it's stories about you, whether it's stories about your value or something like that. It's easy to point to these things and be like, oh yeah, women, they can't be trusted. They're always going to cheat on you or something like that. Or men, you can't trust them. They're always going to cheat on you. This is where we start to add the story, and that story is just going to aggravate you more emotionally than it needs to. So just stick with the facts, and as much as possible, keep the story out of the equation here, okay? Next thing is you want to check in with yourself and see what you want to do. This is information that's coming at you, and it can be shocking. This is information that could be making you question whether or not you want to get back together with your ex or not. Maybe you did want to before you knew they were seeing someone else, and maybe you might not now. And that's fine. If you want to take your love life in a different direction, that's totally fine, totally respectable. If you also want to keep things moving forward, that's what the rest of this video is really about. But you want to do this gut check and figure out what the next thing that you want to do here is. The third thing that you want to keep in mind is, you never really know how things are going to go. I talk about this, or I have been talking about this more recently, but, there are things that can happen that are going to be beneath our ability to see or fully comprehend. Like if you were like me and you just stopped talking to your ex for a while, you might think, okay, I'm not hearing from her. She hasn't messaged me. She hasn't reached out to me. She hasn't contacted me. Therefore, she doesn't care. Well, first of all, there's that story coming in, but you might think that. But there's this whole experience which she might be having that's going on beneath your awareness. You don't know if she's having a hard time with this or not. You don't know if she's second guessing herself or not. You don't know if she's doing this or not. You don't know if he's wondering if he made the right choice or not, if he's regretting things or not. You may not know that. Just because you might not see something doesn't mean it's not necessarily there. There's a whole world underneath the surface that you may not be aware of. And just kind of keep that in mind, because you might see things on social media that could cause you to feel worse. Like, oh, now they're officially boyfriend and girlfriend. They made it official and they updated their Facebook status to being in a relationship or something like that. Oh, now I feel even worse. First of all, if it's on Facebook or some other social media website, it's probably a very curated version of reality. It's probably not their actual authentic experience, because as we all know, the way that you win at social media is to have a very envious life and to make it seem like your life is put together and perfect and polished and all that sort of stuff. That's why, all your friends' Facebook feeds are just, hey, I'm on vacation, hey, I'm engaged, hey, I'm married, hey, we're having a baby, hey, I'm bought this expensive thing or whatever, right? It's very rare that you hear someone say something like, hey, I'm having a really hard day today or something like that, because usually people just put out this very curated, superficial version of their life. And it's not to say you shouldn't celebrate things like being married or having a kid or whatever. Go ahead and do that, but it's just one slice of life, okay? There's obviously the whole human experience that we're having. After that, you get to choose how you're going to show up, right? Because regardless of whether or not you and your ex get back together, regardless of any of that stuff, you have to choose how you're going to show up. I like to put it as like this. Okay, imagine that you're at the end of your life. It's many decades from now, and you're at the end of your life. You're on your deathbed, and you're looking back at things, and you're saying like, hey, yeah, I really gave it my best with that thing, or I tried my hardest, and maybe it worked out, or maybe it didn't. Now start to think about that with you and your relationship, you and your partner. Do you want to say, hey, they told me that that they were dating someone else, and I didn't know what to do, and some random weirdo on the internet told me I should just give up and move on, and so I did, even though my heart wasn't in it. My heart wanted to see where this would go. My heart wanted to give this a shot. Like, I don't think you want to reach the end of your life feeling that way. I think you want to reach the end of your life feeling that you did the right thing for you, that you went after what you wanted, and that you gave it your all, and that you can be at peace if you got back together or didn't get back together, knowing that you gave it a good, honest shot. Of course, that's not to say that you should go ahead and give it a good, honest shot. Again, check in with yourself and see if it makes sense to do so or not. But if it does make sense to do so, then I think that you should go for what you want. And if what you want is to get back together with your ex, give it a shot. If what you want is to, go and date someone else, then go ahead and do that. How you want to show up and how you want to live with yourself and this whole experience and all of this at the end of your life. It's challenging, but it's worth doing, and it can help give you some perspective on what you might want to do. I also wanted to share with you my experience with my ex and our breakup. If you haven't heard it yet, go ahead and check out this video series here. There are a lot of rebound relationships on her part, so go ahead and check it out. Anyway, take care, and I'll talk to you next time.